And we're off. Okay, this is just for Gill, the basic sort of rough introduction to Blender, and she put these pictures up on Facebook of something she's doing in Hexagon, I think it is. And I said I'd just show her the way I'd tackle this, or one of the ways you could tackle this in Blender. There are multiple ways, Blender being Blender. Now, first things first, the basics. This is your initial screen. I'll put the screencast keys on, but they're flaky, so they'll probably have to keep turning them off and on as I go along. No one likes that add-on. Simple basics, let's just stick a cube in there for now. And I should refer, Shift A, add mesh cube. I'm using the middle mouse button here and dragging, that's spinning it around. If I hold Control and middle mouse button, I can zoom in and out. Alt middle mouse button will flip it like that. Shift middle mouse button moves it around. So with middle mouse button, Shift, middle mouse button, Control and middle mouse button. So that does all of that. So that's the sort of quick navigation of moving around. And if I move out here, sort of say, I can select the cube, press the full stop on the numpad, and it'll take me and center that up. The main commands are to move. They use G for grab, so press G and just move it around. And if you hit escape, it'll drop it back where it was. Move G and left click and it'll position it. R for rotate. RR will rotate it in a sort of tracky ball way. Again, escape. S for scale. So that's G for move, R for rotate, S for scale. Now you can put on these here individual widgets for that, and you can hold Shift down and activate them if you want, or you can go over here. If I go onto there, that's the select, so you could select with a box. I tend to leave it on tweak because then I can click and drag, so I can select something and drag, and that works in edit mode as well. So get a point, click, see it's in W, press W to toggle that back to tweak, click and drag, undo that. Or you could turn them on here, sorry, your viewport gizmo. You can have them all on if you want. So I can move it, I can scale it, or I can rotate it. The only downside to this I've found is when that's the case and you've got a couple selected and you want to select a third, sometimes it's not very good through the gizmo. I really have the gizmo on, to be honest. I'll put it on in very specific situations, because so you've got G move, S scale, R rotate, and I use that in conjunction with the fact you can lock axes. So if I GX, I can only move on the X no matter what I do with my mouse. If I do G Shift X, I can move everywhere but on the X, no matter what I do with the mouse. And that applies for the others, so I can scale X, or I can scale Shift X, and they tend to be the commands I use the most, because I can operate really quickly with them. And keep an eye on that, that's the key thing, because if that goes to one of the other modes, and you try to move, you can't. It has to be on what it calls tweak, which you can always tell because it hasn't got anything around it. and that's pretty much where I sit 90% of the time. So to this, I'll show you a few ways I would do that. Press N and pull up my sidebar, and N to hide it. That's numeric. N for numeric. Opens up those. These are your T, so if you press T, that disappears and comes back. So Shift Add, and I'll show you a couple of ways. I'll start with a cube. Go into Edit Mode, which you can do just with Tab. Going to select a face, and I'm actually to start with, I'm going to scale, so SX3, and I'm going to SY2. That gives me a rough starting point for a building. I'll just grab that, GZ, move it up. Now you can put a numeric value in there as well, so I can go GZ 0.05, moves like that, GZ 0.1, GZ 0.5. So you see how you can do specific things. So then I'm going to do a Control R, I'm going to stick a loop cut in there. So that's just Control R, or let's see if I can find it in the menus, because I always use Control R. Try edge, face, vertex. Oh, it must be in one of these. Ah, there we are, loop cut. There we go. So I just never use it. I just know Control R works, and then hit Escape to get out of it. But I don't. I always stay on tweak. I'll do that, and I just Control R. And depending on which edge you're over, it depends on which thing. If I roll the mouse wheel now, I can increase that. So I just roll it once. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to G along the X a bit. So like that. Then I'm just going to go E for extrude. Pull that out. Let's see what sort of size it is. Yeah, that's quite long. So GX that way. So look. And that's considerably further down, isn't it? So I'll go GX, pull that all the way out to about there, say. It looks a bit right. Higher. I'm holding Shift down and selecting there, GZ, pull it up. Click, Control click, GY, pull it back. And right now I want to put the doors and everything in, and the windows. Again, there's numerous ways you could do this. You can do a loop cut, Control B to set the rough height of the windows, and then just do that, Control B, open it up, rolling the mouse wheel can do that. So we'll have one there, Control R, Control B, got two windows. You just I for inset, E to extrude, delete faces. That's window 1. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stick another loop in there because I want some space. 3. I'll scale that on the Z axis. E to inset it and delete the face. And we want a door here, so I'm going to alt click, go into edge mode, alt click that loop, Control B. I'm going to select these two faces, and I'm just going to delete them. And again, I to insert that, scale it on the X, and delete that face. So some have got little indents and some haven't. But if you do that and you want the indent, go into edge mode, alt click, I see it's forgotten the click, so I'll do that. Alt click E on the Y, push it back specifically, and I can do the same here. I can go select that, that, EY. There we go. So that'd be your sort of rough beginning of the house. Oh, and if you don't want to do loop cuts, you can use K for the knife cut. You can cut that down. Hit return. Didn't like that. Yes, it did. No, it didn't. That's better. And select that, Control X, because I don't want it. 3 I EY, delete the face. And you can see the screencast key keeps crashing. It's a horrible add-on there, it just doesn't behave properly. But it's all we've got at the moment. So that's and I can shade that smooth, and that looks ugly. And all you do then is go here and check auto smooth. And that's something you do as a matter of course. I have an add-on that does that automatically, but alright, so then we've got the roof. Just have a look at that. It starts. I'd actually use a couple of edges from here. So I'd select. Actually, I just select that one face. I'm going to select that face, press Shift D to duplicate it, and press Return. P, and separate by selection. Select that item. Go in. I'm going to do a Control R, Return, GZ. Take that up. Select those two. GX. Drag that out over here, like that. I'm going to do a Control R. Put that to there. Control R. Put that to there. Then what I'm going to do is select those two, press V, press Escape, select that edge, press GY, select those two, press F to make a face, those two, F to make a face. There's the roof, and I'm going to now show you an add-on, a modifier called Solidify, which is very handy for this sort of thing. Ramp up that thickness. There you go. And you can turn the viewport visibility off and on. So that's that. Obviously the chimney's pretty straightforward. Add a cube. GX. I see what you've done. Yeah, I see what you've done there, right. Okay. And so I'm going to scale that on the Z. Actually, I'm going to edit mode, select that face, GZ. Take it up there, select everything, scale, Shift Z, put that in, then just GX, take it back up against the building. Now again, you can either add additional items here, or you can go in. Again, multiple ways you can do this. E to extrude, and then hit S straight away. Scale out. E. I to inset. E. Like that. Then do Shift S, snap the cursor to selected. Oh, you won't have that. You will need to. I don't know how to do this actually. I would have to come out. No, hang on. This is interesting. I'm so used to using my add-ons that mesh. Oh, okay, when in doubt, F3 for the search, snap, cursor to selected, there we go. I have it on a specialist by menu so I never use it. Then do add, cylinder, scale, GZ, scale Z, GZ. How about edit mode? I'll just put that cursor back at the world origin for now. Nope. I've done that wrong, but never mind. You get the idea. So I can fix that actually just by selecting that, then press F, and flattening it all off. Select that, press L, GZ, add a loop, Control R about there, Control B, select 3, Alt click, scale Shift Z, GZ, select everything, select that, press L, 7 for the top view, 5 for orthographic, G, Shift D and drag. Shift D and drag. L, L, G. There we go. So, you get the idea. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is do it with a plane. Scale X, scale Y, roughly scale X a bit more actually. Well, that's another thing, where you position your cursor when you scale. The closer to the middle you have it and you press S, the quicker it scales. The further away, the slower it scales, and you can hold Shift down. So scale there, slow. Scale here, quick. Scale here, but hold Shift, slow. Right, okay. Control R, GX. I'm going to do Control B. Select that. EY. Okay, select everything, select loops, boundary, EZ, like that, and then I'm going to 3, select those, P, make that a separate selection. Right, take that, add the Solidify, high quality even thickness. Oh, wrong one. That's the one I want. Add modifier, Solidify, high quality even thickness. Alright. Normals are flipped. I can tell that by looking at the face orientation. So there's my walls anyway. Then I would use things called booleans to actually make the windows. So I'm just going to add in a cube. Right. Then I'm going to go into wireframe view up here. G, move that to there. Scale that a little bit. Scale it on the X a bit. Scale down for a small window, Shift D, move it along, scale it up. Shift E, move it along, scale it on the Z, that's going to be my door. Select them, using shift click, G, position them. Something's not. That's why. Don't want that face. Separate that by selection. Delete that completely for now, actually. I thought that was showing off. Right. Okay. Select these. GY. And so I select that, Control minus, select that, Control minus, select that, Control minus. And if I have a look at the wireframe now, it's not very tidy. But if I go into this, it's not actually set, so I can do a Control R there. Now I get a very tidy line. I'll just move that up a bit. There we go. Okay, I can turn the wireframe back off so I can. But this at the moment is it's what they call non-destructive. If I move that, you can see how it moves. So I duplicate that, and I'm just going to hide it, and then just going to apply everything. Hide that. There are your walls. To EY. There we go. So that's my floor. I'm just going to duplicate that. GZ, move that up. That's my ceiling. So again, if I want to add, I've got snapping on vertex here. So if I hold down and then GZ and then hold Control, it'll snap to the nearest vertex, give me a nice tight connection. So we want another face on there, so I'm going to shift right mouse button, add in a cube, scale it on the Z a bit, move it along on the X a little, shift click, minus, hide that, and just apply that. Now again, I'd do the roof exactly the same way. And what I might do actually with this is, because I know you're going to want the side bits done, select those two and just scale them ever so slightly on the X to pull them in. Like that. Okay. So again, do the roof a similar way. Just select that one edge, duplicate it. Selection, select that one edge, go into edit mode, select it, right mouse button, subdivide, point mode, GZ, select those two edges, EX, 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 right. Now what you can do here is you can actually, a couple of ways you could do this. You can select that edge. If you can't see it well, you can press the slash key on the numpad and it'll hide everything else. And I can just EY there, pull that out, slash on the numpad, and GY, snap it to there. Delete that face. going to select 2, that edge, F, that edge, F, that edge, F, and then I'm going to delete that face now. Right, back out of local view, select that edge. In fact, we select everything, GZ, move it up a notch to there. Right. Add the Solidify modifier, flip it the other way. Something like that. There we go. Right, now I'm going to select these. I'm going to do a Control R there. And I'm just going to GZ, pull that up. And do the same there, Control R. Select that. GZ, pull that up. Again, do the same. Shade smooth. Object data, normals, auto smooth. Do the same again, right mouse button, shade smooth, auto smooth. That just means when I add things like bevels it shows up nicely. And the thing with the Solidify modifier here, what you can do is you can actually apply that. That's now solid object. Oh, I've applied the wrong one, never mind. I'll just undo that, go back to right, select that, apply that, go into edit mode. I'll select that edge, I'm just going to GZ, pull it down. Alt click that edge, GZ, pull it down. And GY to take it out a little bit, I think. And we're happy with that. Okay, let's chimney. So again, just add a cube. One on the numpad, so it gives it ortho. 3 on the numpad. Control 3. GY. Position it there. Go into edit mode. Scale Shift Z. Like that. GX. I'm obviously slowing this down a lot. I'd work a bit quicker than this if it was just doing it myself. And another way you can do the top bit, I can press R, pull it up, Control B, Alt E. That's another way of doing it. Oh, it was on the top though, wasn't it? So I just GZ, EZ, Alt click, Alt E. There we go. Select that. Mesh. Oh, F3. Snap cursor to selected. Add in a cylinder. I'm going to do dot and set it to the 3D cursor and scale. GZ. Now scale now, and it scales in relation to that. Just like that. So set it to medium point, scale. I, E, just give it a bit of a thingy. Right. I'm going to Shift D to duplicate that. 7 for the top root, G. Position that there, say. Wireframe mode, edit mode, select that face, GZ. Select that edge, GZ. Out of wireframe, out of edit. And again, shade smooth, auto normals, shade smooth. You can put a bevel on there if you want. Add a bevel modifier. This means it's non-destructive. Turn clamp overlap off when you get used to it, but for now just put a small bevel on it till you're happy. There we go, and harden normals. And then I can just select that, select that, select that. Do a Control L, modifiers, gives it the same. Angle, make sure they're all on angle. Post to none, we don't want every face doing it. There we go. Can do the same there, add a modifier, bevel, angle, set the angle to 60 and give it an offset of 2 millimeters. Harden the normals. So makes it all prettified. The snow type thing, again I would take the edge off there, just take the one edge, Shift D, duplicate it, select that one edge, go into edit mode, point mode, select that point, GX, select it 2, I'm just going to go EY, select that one, EY, GZ, just get it more or less just tucked in, like that. Now there, again, for now, which is GZ, pull that down. If we go into wireframe, I can do GG and it'll go up based on the angle it's at. And what we can do, go back into wireframe, I'm going to do a Control R there, Control B, GY, X even, position it. Then I'm going to go edge mode, alt click, Control B. Right, and then I can select that edge and that edge, and Alt S to raise them up if I wanted to. So it's the opposite I want. So I want that one and that. So we'll just take that one actually. GZ. Like that. Scale X. Now I'm don't need a bevel on this one at the moment, we want the Solidify. There we go. Right. And then all we're going to do on this one is activate that so I can see what's happening. I'm going to Control R, add in a couple of loop cuts. Go into edge mode, GG, GG, Control R, a couple of edge loops, GG, 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 and a couple of edge loops there, GG, GG, GG. Alright, and obviously you can do the same there. GG, 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 GG. Like that. And then to give it some flavour, we just add in a subdivision surface. That. And all we need to do is strengthen that top line. So select that top line and increase the crease item, pull the crease up like that. Set that to shade smooth. No. And that's it. And again, there's probably another 4 or 5 ways I could think of doing exactly the same thing. So it's really very, very simple. Now the beauty of this is I can select that. I can actually go into Sculpt Mode. And if I select Sculpt, Draw, want draw, let's pull these out. This is only moving the polygons of the existing material. You can actually add to it by turning on Dino Topo. So you can sculpt away to your heart's content. Take the strength right down. But you get the idea, you can play around. I really shouldn't have shown you Sculpt. It's not, doesn't help matters, it just confuses it, but it's a whole sculpting beast all of its own. But anyway, there we are.